I I just woke up. Y'all can tell I look like complete dog shit right now. Uh, I just want to talk about this Drew Holiday trade that went through while I was asleep. I go to sleep kind of early because I usually have to go to work, but like I said, I'm taking the day off yesterday. So here's the thing. When I first looked at the trade, my instant thought was, okay, okay. Then I thought about it. Thought about it for a minute. Bledsoe and George Hill. George Hill is 34 years old. He's experienced as fuck. Bledsoe is 30 years old. He has experience. Now, they both see Bledsoe can't shoot what George Hill can. What they do is solidify the backup point guard position, which was a means to be addressed. And if they're going to be solidifying the backup point guard position, that tells me they're not looking at a point guard to come in and make an effect out of the draft. So they're not taking a point guard in the draft. They shouldn't be. Because here's the thing. You're taking Bledsoe and George Hill, experienced point guards, albeit undersized, and you already got Frank Jackson and Etwan Moore and to kill Alexander Walker and a couple other guards, right? So that means they could probably get off of Etwan Moore and Frank Jackson. First of all, so have replacing those two with Bledsoe and George Hill's immediate upgrade. Let's just talk about it. Keep it plain. Immediate upgrade. One of the issues with the Pels was having competent point guard play when Lonzo hit the bench. If you keep George Hill or Eric Bledsoe, preferably George Hill, who's older and more experienced and smarter, and can shoot the three ball, now you have constant, competent point guard play all 48 minutes of the game. So one of your issues is officially gone. So on that vein, great trade for the Pels. Now, if they get rid of Frank Jackson and Etwan Moore, even fucking better. See, it's not so much about the names, because one, they got off of Jrue Holiday. Now, I told you guys that if they played Josh Hart or started him, I wouldn't have an issue with that, which means Josh Hart or JJ is going to start. I'd prefer it to be Josh Hart, but it's likely going to be JJ. Who knows? They might say, fuck it, we're going to put Bledsoe there, which defeats the purpose. But fuck it. Okay? Now, here's the other piece to this. They can still flip one of those guys to move somebody. Jaleel, Melly, I couldn't think of his name. And they got draft picks out of it. I'm gonna get into the draft picks in a minute on a different level, but let's keep this in mind. First of all, like I said, if they get rid of Frank Jackson and Etwan Moore, they won. They won. Like you guys don't understand. You're losing Frank Jackson, who just has deer in the headlights and just runs and attacks and doesn't think. You're getting rid of Etwan Moore, who's like a 30-year-old, undersized, like wannabe small forward, shooting guard slash point guard triple combo, and he could go get his own team. And now you got players that can sit there, fall in line, and play their role, who are competent throughout the entire game. That's better. That's automatic. You guys don't understand how much better that makes the Pels, outright. Plus, you get backup in case Lonzo gets injured, and now you can run George Hill out there with Eric Bledsoe, and you're gonna get good point guard play the entire game. They can't do the stuff that Lonzo does necessarily, but you can put George Hill out there and say, okay, run my offense, and he can do that just fine. So it's not the best trade that we would want, necessarily in terms of like the name, but in terms of what it does for the team, it's okay. They still need center. They still need forwards, which means now, if this is the case, they could go ahead and look to draft. In the draft, they don't have, because I heard talk about Killian Hayes and some of these other guys. Fuck them niggas. They could go look to get whoever the best forward or center is in the draft. I don't think they should take a center because you already have Jackson Hayes, unless you're getting someone who's already like 22, 23 years of age, NBA ready kind of guy. That's the only center you should be taking. Matter of fact, at that position, they shouldn't be drafting anyone who's under the age of 21. They need to be 21 or older. They need to have a couple years experience, already have a grown man body, be ready to play immediately, plug and play. Um, so that's good for the Pels. Especially, see, the main thing was that was one of the top three places of concern. It was the forward, the centers, and backup point guard position. They got rid of one of those issues. If they can go address the other ones, they're set. Now, some of the other good players out there have been traded. Bogdanovich, he's gone to Milwaukee with Jrue, so you can't get him. Robert Covington is now gone to Portland, so you can't get him. But there's still some guys out there that they can go get. This isn't over with by a long shot. We still have to wait and see what the rest of this looks like. Because if they flip, let's say they somehow flip Jaleel, Frank, Etuan, and Eric Bledsoe for like some more draft picks, or say, I'm gonna just throw something random out there, and I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but let's just say they get Mitch Robinson or some bullshit. Now you can see you get rid of all those bad players for us, and you get someone competent, as a center, and now your team is starting to come together a little bit. But here's the other piece of this that you guys need to understand, right? So, along with Jrue Holiday, they got 3 future firsts and 2 2 swaps. It's 5 fucking picks. Hear me out. If Giannis says, fuck it. If Giannis says, fuck it, I'm leaving. Jrue, I think this is the last year of his contract. He's going to be out. Now your main focus is Chris Middleton, who will be 30 years old. You are going to be in fucking NBA purgatory. Which means those picks will be top 5. Top 5 picks. Hear me out. Hear me out. If the Bucks lose and do not make the finals with Giannis, and he leaves, we just got 5 top 5 picks. You're sitting here saying, people, and I saw this on Twitter because I got up and checked and I saw the news and I was like, okay, let me see what people are saying. We got people upset. And I get it. You guys want to see immediate, like, okay, let's go directly get this. And I understand. I completely understand how you guys feel. I'm not saying you guys aren't entitled to feel the way you feel. But we got to think about this in perspective. What is top five picks potentially is greater than Jrue Holiday or any of the players we got back? Think about this. You get 5 top 5 fucking picks, right? I'm not saying they're all going to be LaMelo Balls or Zion Williamsons and Luka Doncic's and stuff, but you got the chance to get like some Michael Porter Jr. kind of talent at that spot. Now, even if your guys by that time with Lonzo and them, they'll be in their upper 20s and stuff, they'll be competing. You might say, well, shit, we don't need those picks. Let's see if we can flip these picks. And maybe you say, okay, we're at a point in the league where you don't need all 3 of those guys. You say, okay, maybe we can flip Lonzo or Bi, or maybe you think Zion is going to leave. You like, fuck it, we can flip picks in Zion to get another superstar player to play next to whoever. So you guys have to think about the long game. Again, this is going back to what I told you guys the other day and yesterday. This isn't about, like, you can tell what they're trying to do based on the moves they're making, right? Obviously, they're not going to win this year. They're trying to prepare going forward. They're trying to have a backup plan for Zion in case Zion either doesn't work out or he looks like he's going to leave, which I don't blame them. They're trying to get a backup in case they decide, or let's just say if Lonzo isn't it, if they realize halfway through the season they don't want Lonzo, now they're saying, okay, we can let Lonzo walk. We won't have to pay him, and we could just go draft high and get us a new point guard. And they would keep Bi. Bi is proven, but like they wouldn't worry about Lonzo. This is a backup and insurance policy, for their rebuild around Zion and Bi, which is the whole point. They don't care about Lonzo unless Lonzo produces, and Lonzo has to produce. They're giving him the keys to the offense to produce. That's why they got rid of Jrue, and that's why they got George here and Eric Bledsoe. They're not coming in to start over him and take his spot. They're to be backup in case, one, to shore up we need the ball handler and someone who can control the offense when he sits. But if Lonzo doesn't show up and start dropping, appropriate numbers, it's like we can bench him or trade him or move off of him, and we got George here or Eric Bledsoe. So that's the game they're playing because they have question marks about Zoe. Now, they still have time to make plays or make moves. This isn't bad. It moves the needle a little bit because you needed to get off Jrue anyway and stuff. And I need to go see how the money adds up because I'm not sure if they took in less money for these guys or not. And I'm trying to think because I think George Hill and Eric Bledsoe are on 1 year deals right now. Like they only have 1 year left in their contract, which means they fall off at the end of the season anyway. So now you got extra cap space to sign Lonzo Ball to a longer extension if he shows out. If Lonzo comes in and drops 17, 18, 10, and like 8 or 6 or something like that, you're going to have to pay him. With Jrue off the books, with those guys coming off the books, now you got the money to sign Zoe. This, again, you guys have to think about this as more than just who the numbers, like the direct players are. This is checkers, not chess. The moves have to stack and they have to matter. They're being very conservative about this. They're playing it safe, but their main thing is they want to see what they have in Zoe. That's why they got the backup point guard position, which is to make sure, hey, let's protect our investment in case he does go down. But let's see what it's like now when he has complete control of the offense and he's running things and now he can make his moves. He don't have to worry about someone taking his spot. Okay? So this shouldn't be looked at as a bad thing. They did address a need. Especially, but like again, this move will potentially get better based on two things. If they get off Frank Jackson and Etuan Moore, some of those other guys, Jahlil Okafor, and depending on what Giannis does. So we won't see the full fruits of this until the end of the season when we see whether Giannis decides to leave or stay. That will determine, the whole benefit of this trade. Now, we still have work to do on the roster because you traded one guard for two. Again, they're not going to keep, because right now we have Lonzo, Josh Hart, JJ, George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, Frank Jackson, Etuan Moore. And I still didn't name all of the guards we have, but that's 7 guards. 7. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, that's 8. You can only have 15 players on your roster. That's 8 guards. Over half of the roster is guards. They're gonna have to trim that fat. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if they move Josh Hart or JJ Redick to a team. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise, especially as a part of a trade. Because I'm gonna be honest, as much as we talk about Frank Jackson and some of these other guys, like I could totally see them saying "fuck Nickeil Alexander-Walker" or Josh Hart, and saying, "Okay, let's move Eric Bledsoe with these guys or Jahlil Okafor to get a better player." And guess what? As much as I love Josh Hart, the Pels made the right move. You know, I can't be mad at that. You know, like I'm not saying this would happen, but what if they say, okay, we're gonna trade Eric Bledsoe or George Hill to the Hawks for, say, a Kevin Herter, and let's say they also send JJ or Josh Hart in the deal. Now you got Kevin Herter, and he's going to be your starting 2 guard. Well, now you just upgraded the 2 guard position, which is good. You also got off of 2 guards, which is good. Even though you got one back, so you really only -1 in that department. But you're upgrading in those key positions. You know, you could argue shooting guard will be a position to be filled now, but at the same time, like I said, I'm good at letting Josh Hart start there. I think he's serviceable. I think he's competent. I think he can play that position. JJ Redick clearly can play the position, even though he doesn't offer the defense. But we'll see what happens. Now, the main thing is, what are we going to do about the forwards? You know, you could theoretically re-sign Favors, which I heard that Favors would like to re-sign now because Gentry's gone and they're making moves. So Favors could be coming back for a little bit. So you got a somewhat rim protector, which means you don't have to rush out Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes is projected to be better. So at worst, even if you decide not to move anywhere at center, if you get Derek Favors back and you have Jackson Hayes, you're competent enough there to where you can play an entire season. Remember, this is going to be development year. So they're not. Think about this. The team I listed at the beginning of the video some of the teams that got better. We're gonna move Giannis and them out of the frame for real quick because they're in the East. Portland just got better because they got Covington. Huge upgrade. Huge upgrade. The Kings arguably got worse, but they got some pieces back. They got DiVincenzo and Ilyasova. I would argue upgrade. So even the Kings are coming up. So you could argue, okay, the Pels keep Favors and Hayes. They don't have to get another center. Okay, cool. But we still got to fill the forward positions. We still need the backup forward. Now, if they move Ingram to shooting guard, then they're going to have to get forward help. That means the draft, they're going to get forward help, or they're going to be looking to trade picks and stuff for forwards. So the next couple moves should be to get us front court support. I'm telling you guys now, don't be surprised. But literally, do not be surprised if they move any of these guys. Now, I'm going to say this too. Even though I believe Lonzo is safe, if there's a deal out there that would allow them to move up and get a point guard that they like, I wouldn't be surprised if they put Lonzo and somebody else together, like got Lonzo and moved off of Jahlil Okafor or somebody else, E'Twaun Moore, in order to get a higher pick to get one of those guards. Now, do I think that'll happen? No. I think Lonzo is somebody they value, and I think they want to take this year to fully evaluate him under Stan Van Gundy and a healthy team, because I think they saw what he did during that stretch and said, okay, this looks like Lonzo. If we can get the scoring to uptick and he trends up in that, because he trended up last year, I think they're saying, okay, if he trends up, good. We don't have to pay him max, but we can pay him good enough, keep him, and he's going to be, a key component to this team going forward, especially with the style they want to play. So we'll see. But it wouldn't surprise me if they got a good enough deal and they wanted to move off Alonso, because now you got George Hill and Bledsoe, and you could go draft a point guard to develop behind him. And that's if you didn't feel like you wanted to keep Nickeil Alexander Walker, you know. Even though he's really, I don't know what they're trying to do with him. He could kind of be a combo guard. He can be like small. He can be like shooting guard, and he can kind of be a point guard. He grew to 6'5", so he's just an inch shorter than Zoe, but he's more aggressive offensively anyway. But again, you guys got to keep these moves in mind. Read the tea leaves. What are they telling you? Think about the stuff I'm telling you. Think about this. You got rid of Jrue. You got back backup point guard support. You're overloaded at guard. Some of the guards you're going to have to get rid of. You don't have forwards yet. They're going to be flipping those guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they call up OKC or Orlando and try to see what they can get. I'm just telling you guys straight up right now. It wouldn't surprise me. Hey, New York, man. I know y'all got Frank Ntilikina and, Kevin Knox. Would y'all be willing to trade, say Kevin Knox or somebody for a couple of firsts? Maybe JJ Redick and George Hill. I could see that. I could see something like that. So it's really just, we're going to have to see. We'll have to see. If they re-sign Favors, then we don't have to worry so much about center. I still don't like Favors at center. He's a power forward. If you even go look at the stats, he's listed as a power forward and center. He's like 6'10", 6'11". He's undersized. That's why he got bodied by Dallas. He got bodied by the Lakers. He got bodied by OKC. Those teams with that size, man, he's too small. I'd rather have someone else. But it is what it is. So, Jrue Holiday off the table. No more Denver trade. No more Brooklyn trade. It's done. So, Brooklyn really only could go for James Harden or Broke. You guys got to pay attention to the competition around the league, man. It's going to tell us a lot. But, like I said, I just wanted to get on here and talk about this shit because like I said, I woke up and I was like, oh, okay. I had a feeling it was going to happen. But they made a move. I told you they had till Friday really to make a move. They made a move. But this move has to build upon itself. This isn't a bad move. Yes, you would want to hear, oh, let's trade Jrue for Ilyasova. And I get that. That would have been perfect. But at the same time, you got to think about being safe. You want to make the safe play. You don't necessarily want to go for a home run. Because if you don't, the problem we complained about them last year, they sent a wrong message. Oh, we're trying to go to the playoffs, but then they're not doing stuff to get into the playoffs. So if this is they're not saying that shit right now, so they learned their lesson. They keep their fucking mouth shut. So this is going to be a fucking build year. A development year. So if they're going to develop, that means they're not rushing. They got time. They understand that. Build these guys up, get them ready, and let them run. Let Lonzo have the ball, let him run. Let Zion get the ball, let him attack, let him go at it. Let B.I., man, go up there, drop 22 shots a game, man, and go get your 30 points. Go do that. Get your first team All-NBA, man. We back you. We want you to be the alpha on this team. We want you ready so when you get into the playoffs, it's you get up in there, hey, give me the goddamn ball, let me go to work. I have no issues with that. So, guys, please, I must reiterate, do not be upset when you first see the trade. Think about the trade as far as what everything has value. Add value. Look at how the trade stacks up. I hope that I have convinced some of you guys by listening to this that the trade wasn't all bad. I hope you can sit here and say, okay, he's got a point. I can see every point that he said, and I can see how that could be effective. So after listening, I can agree with that. I hope I convince you guys to be patient in the trade process and understanding stuff. Don't just look at it and go with your first thought. Please, just take a second, go eat yourself a donut and a coffee or something, and just say, okay, well, this was an issue we had last year. You guys should be, as much as we've seen, some of you guys should already have a list of issues from last year, and you go say, "How does this fix what we had last year? We didn't have a backup point guard off the list." And you'd be like, "Okay, so they did address the issue. As long as they address the issue, you can't really fault them. Now, if they continue to let the same issue persist, that's where you should have a problem, man. That's where you should be calling them out. If we go into the season and we still have just Bi, Zion, and Melly, now we have to go. We have to be like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Because y'all knew this was an issue. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Y'all have a good morning. This is my early morning. I don't know what the fuck to call this. Like I said, I literally got up. I ain't had enough time to go piss yet and shit. I just saw this shit and I was like, God damn. So I'll catch y'all later. Peace.